Welcome back. And I hope you enjoyed the first part of the event. I know I did. We're just going to just come back to DG Creative Wellbeing, the project that you'll get sick of hearing by the end of this, DG Creative Wellbeing. We're just going to spotlight a bit of the work and just explain the strands of the project to you. I'm going to work without notes here because I think it's all about the visuals in this section for me. And I'm going to introduce you to the team who deliver the different strands, and they're going to talk you through a bit about each of those strands, how they deliver it, what they've learned, some of the impact, things like that. We're also welcomed by Alison, who is our project counsellor as well, and she's going to say some words about her place in the project as well. So without further ado, we thought we'd cracked it with the clicker when we went like that. For about 2 seconds it worked. Hooray. So I just want to first start, I'm not going to read all of this out, but I'll move to the side so I can see it. I just wanted to give a sense of the entire project's impact. Well, kind of what we've delivered, to give you a sense of the scale, essentially, of DG Creative Wellbeing. So at a glance, from 2022 to 24, across the community and the clinical participatory programmes, the project supported 1,348 people. We think it's actually slightly more. It's very difficult to come up with finite figures. And that has enabled people to engage with art and creativity. The project supported 439 NHS D&G staff to engage with arts in healthcare programme activities, but obviously more staff and visitors and patients in clinical spaces also benefit from enhancements to the space. It improves the working environment, the visiting, and the kind of healing experience for people. So that's important to mention. Also, it combats stigma, it promotes healing and relaxation, which is really important when you've got people going to receive treatment, particularly important. Over 600 people have attended Creative Health and Wellbeing events, and you are included in that figure. I updated it last night. Yay! Every person counts. The project has hosted exhibitions which have engaged with over 30,000 people. And that's because I'll talk a bit about the exhibition programme. The exhibition spaces that we've developed in clinical spaces are some of the most visited spaces in our region, because they're where people go for appointments, they're where people go to see other people receiving medical treatment. So the footfall is amazing. So we're putting art in front of people, sometimes against their will possibly, but they will experience art. Now, try and click forward. Excellent. So I'm going to start just by talking about art and healthcare, and then I'll move on to the network before handing over to one of my colleagues. That does work. Top tip. So we're going to talk quickly about the participatory programme. So that photo there is one of the NHS teams that we have been working with. We were piloting some team building exercises, kind of sessions, 2-hour sessions, and that's a very proud troop of NHS staff just showing their amazing work that they achieved in that 2-hour period. Some of them a little bit shy, hiding behind their work, but proud nonetheless. I feel like I'm going to be accused of being like Elon Musk if I do. This is getting a bit out of my comfort zone here, like trying to do it just with my hand. I'll ask for the next slide, please, for whoever's behind there. Please, thank you very much. I just wanted to touch on the visitor and the patient experience. I just thought this photo, we've got so many photos that we could share, as I'm sure other arts organisations do as well, and it's so hard. It's Sophie's choice to select pictures for things like this. But I thought this really summed up the experience. So this young man was visiting DGRI and was really, really nervous. It was a medical appointment that his parents were there as well. His dad's just off to the side. And all of them were really nervous. We had a pop-up participatory workshop that day in the atrium, in the public space, and we were just inviting people to take part in a really accessible workshop. It was printing, it was a really simple technique, jelly printing for anyone who's used jelly plates before. It's a really immediate thing. It's super easy to learn, 2 minutes and people are doing printmaking, and he did his initial for his first name, and he was so chuffed. And it really made that visitor experience and that patient experience and the family as well, the parents were more relaxed as a consequence of a 10-minute quick workshop. Forward on. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. Some other examples of participatory experiences that we've provided through the programme. On the left are some junior doctors, again, very, very busy people. So we're not necessarily talking about huge interventions that are massively expensive or take a lot of time. Sometimes just a pop-up session and just a taster, and it can inspire someone to then, it can spark an interest. And it also just makes them aware of the programme as well. So these junior doctors were really chuffed with they said that they'd not been creative for years. Most people, I think most arts organisations are used to hearing, I've not done anything since school. And that's such a common experience. So just providing a positive experience for people who have disengaged from art is really, really powerful. On the right, I just wanted to touch on the volunteer as well, who works tirelessly to support NHS. This is one of the volunteers, and we made sure that we reached out to the volunteers at DGRI, and I think I'll talk about this, what they're making later on, but we created an environmental enhancement, but there was a participatory aspect to it, so we invited people working, using the space to contribute to the final artwork and to feel proud of their contribution to it. And I'll show you the final result in a minute. It's very cool. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. So I wanted to point out the photo on the left is when we think about NHS staff, we think about uniformed staff, we think about clinical staff, but there's so many NHS staff that we aren't aware of. Auxiliary staff, admin staff, catering staff. And it's really important that we acknowledge that and that we engage with those people too. This was part of a self-care activity, thinking about how important self-care is for NHS staff. On the right here, this is some of the sessions that we've been doing with Mid-Park, and you won't see patient photos in the Mid-Park sessions, but these are some staff members, and the staff and the patients do the workshops alongside each other, and I'll touch on that in a second about how powerful that is to be taking part in creativity together. Next slide, please. We've abandoned the clicker. I think we have these two people here today, these amazing Mid-Park staff who came to quite a lot of the sessions and created, this was part of an empowering portraits block of workshops delivered every week, I think for 6 weeks. And one of the techniques that we were looking at was collage, and the aim of the block was to create empowering portraits that kind of reflect on how we feel about ourselves and try and promote positivity, positive self-image, bringing in words and narrative and composition. And I am absolutely in love with these two pieces. I've got them in my house actually, and I'm tempted to frame them and put them up, but they will be shared in Mid-Park exhibition soon. Next slide, please. So just some staff reflections. I'll maybe just select one, but they kind of, to me, they summed up the type of reflections that people have shared, that the NHS staff have shared through taking part. And I think the middle one is really worth highlighting, about that role switch. When we facilitate workshops and sessions for staff with patients, the dynamic changes. Suddenly everybody is equal. That idea of the caregiver and the person receiving care changes. The dynamic shifts, and you'll find patients supporting staff to create artwork. And that is really empowering for patients. And for the staff as well, it allows them to see the patient on a more human level, in a different light, as a person. Not that they're dehumanized, but it's just a shift, and an important shift. And the staff acknowledged that. It was really good to see the patients feel confident to help them as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. And this is some of our participant work. So on the left, we worked with Ward C4, which is patients who are elderly, some of which have dementia, not all. But we have to then think about the accessibility aspects and how we modify things to suit people, different kinds of bodies who have different limitations, like using kind of expressive mark making, for example. I think Phoebe, one of my colleagues, will touch on working in care homes and thinking about how we modify materials. I believe Lucy's here, who's worked with Phoebe on that. On the right is just to give you a sense of using different kinds of art forms as well. Here, tapestry, I believe this is Emily Tuck's session. thinking about kind of 3 dimensions, really multifaceted, multi-art form type sessions as well, to spark curiosity. Next slide, please. And these were some patient reflections as well. I thought the bottom one was particularly, they're all amazing, but the bottom one, just that making the difficult experience of being in hospital more bearable. I think that really, we should kind of pause and think about that, how important that is. Often what we heard was some inpatients find the day quite boring and unstimulating and long. And so something like this, a creative session, can break up the day, give them something to look forward to, and something where they can be themselves. Positive distraction. So I'll just, next slide, please. And just to end this section, just thinking about how we engage NHS staff moving forward, we've been consulting with them through creative workshops, asking them what they would like to do. And if we move on to the next slide, the outcome of that is our kind of referral system that we're piloting next, inviting NHS staff to refer themselves into team building sessions, creative wellbeing sessions, working with small and large teams, and then offering them a kind of menu of choices, but then modifying it to their needs and working with them in consultation. So we're really excited to take that into 2025 and then hopefully get a chance to feedback on how that's going as that unfolds. Next slide, please. Moving on to exhibitions and events. That was a beautiful listening session with Scottish Ensemble through DG Arts Festival. We worked in partnership with them to bring this beautiful quartet to Mid Park Hospital and have a listening session with patients and staff. And it was very participatory, actually. I wasn't quite sure which section to put it in because it's kind of a bit of everything. Next slide, please. Thank you. And this is just to show a broad range. We have Paragon, who we're really proud to work with at Christmas time to showcase some of the amazing musicians that are part of Paragon Music. And just to also show that a lot of our events are participatory. So they're not just someone doing something, being creative. It's about inviting people to take part in creativity as well. Next slide, please. And these are just some of the, there's 4 spaces that we've developed across 3 hospitals. That would be DGRI, which is the one that you can see here. We're developing a space at Mid Park Hospital in the atrium. We're also developing a space at Galloway Hospital, and there's a smaller pop-up space at DGRI's atrium as well. And the exhibition programme is a real opportunity for partnership working and to showcase some of the work taking place across D&G. And these are some of the people we've worked with and are excited to work with moving forward. The last 3 are people that we're working with in the next year. We're really excited to hopefully showcase RSA bicentenary work and allow work to come from the Central Belt down and have these facilities in order to tour exhibitions around as well. So it's a bit of a work in progress, but it's thus far working really well. And as you can see, there's quite large spaces, so really kind of amazing opportunities to share a variety of work. It also shares work from our community projects as well, and you'll hear a bit about that later. Next slide, please. Lastly, enhancing the environment is the last strand of our art and healthcare programme. Next slide. So this was, and actually if you move on to the next slide as well, this was the final result, and I think it's actually still at DGRI. And that's a window painting, just using paint, some white paint. And I did the outline of the text, and then we invited staff, patients, visitors to DGRI across one day to do mindful doodling, to fill in the letters. And the message was for everybody, that you matter, and that the healthcare space is to support everybody. So that was only supposed to be up for about 2 weeks, and it's still there because everybody seems to love it, but we'll hopefully refresh it at some point. Next slide, please. We used a similar technique for the launch, and there's something about kind of enhancing the environment, having an artist in a clinical space that invites conversation. A lot of people want to speak to the artist and they're interested and they want to know how it's done. And we had people from wards going, oh, we could do that. That's really accessible. It's just paint on a window. It doesn't have to be something super complex to spark people's interest. And it can be so impactful. It's just that creativity, that imagination, and using the amazing associate artists, the amazing freelance sector in our region. We're so lucky. Next slide, please. this is just looking forward. I think one of my colleagues is going to talk about the main mural project outcome from last year, but this is just to say that we're working with the Focus Hub in Lochside to create enhancements to this quite uninspiring space, as you can see on the left. It's quite a kind of ex-industrial space type building, and we want the people who use the service, who are dealing with addiction, recovery from addiction and healing, to feel destigmatized, to feel welcome, to feel part of that process. So our associate artist, Katie Anderson, is working with service users and staff to create those enhancements to ensure that they are part of the journey and that what comes from that everybody is happy with and feels that it reflects them and their ethos, which is honesty, optimistic, perseverance and encouragement, which I think is, I want that t-shirt. Next slide. And we're also working with Galloway Hospital to tell the story. That's the thing about creativity. We can tell stories. We can use art to tell stories in a variety of means. And we want to tell the story of the healthcare journey in Stranraer, in Galloway. So that's just one of the archive images. So we've been tasked with that. And we're just commissioning one of our regional creatives, Alice Griffin, to create some illustrations for their atrium, the waiting area of Galloway Hospital. So we'll share that once it's been created. Next slide, please. Lastly, I'm just going to finish on the Creative Wellbeing network. Next slide, please. Just to explain what the network does, it has three main aims. Its first aim is to amplify, its second aim is to connect, and the third aim is to cultivate. And today's event is the perfect example of delivering on those three aims. The network isn't just about holding an event, though. It is about being creative, encouraging creativity, cultivating new collaboration, connecting all of the stakeholders, of which there are so many. We're all stakeholders in creative well-being. So it's having somewhere, a part of the network that everybody can access. Next slide, please. One of the things that we've driven forward through the network is having a focused effort in D&G in regards to the Scottish Mental Health Arts Festival, which is an initiative that takes place every year around about October. And although there was sporadic pieces of work taking place every year in D&G, there wasn't a really focused effort. And we thought, well, this is somewhere where the network could be really useful to just build momentum, harness that and deliver a kind of program and encourage others to feed into that as well so that we could share the work that they're doing too. We don't expect to do all of this work ourselves, but we can spotlight the work that is happening across the region. So that's slowly built over the past 2 years, and we're really excited to have made really formal connections with them now that have brought some of the main programme to our region for the first time. Next slide, please. And this is just some examples of some of the work that we've done. On the right is a film that was brought to D&G that was toured around Scotland. And because of this work that we're doing, we were one of the points in that network. So we're really excited that we are slowly getting the word out there that there is this kind of cohesive movement in D&G. Next slide, please. And this was just to also note that the manifesto has come through consultation and engagement. Although people hate the word consultation and engagement. And that we have used the network to reach out to stakeholders, to engage with them on what should the themes be, how should it be communicated, how do we reach out to people, how do we make it accessible. So that's work that we've been doing over the past year. Next slide, please. And this is just bringing the stakeholders together and sharing the participant experience. At this network gathering, one of our Art Journal graduates shared their journey in person, in their words. And that's what the network needs to be. It's not just about what we say, it's about what everybody says and everyone's experience, and even the difficult bits. You know, the negative experience as well, allow us to understand people's true experiences and barriers. Next slide, please. And without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to my colleague, Liz McQueen, to talk about Art Journal Project.
Hello everybody, I'm Liz McQueen and I'm Adult Creative Wellbeing Lead for OutPost Arts. So it's lovely to be here today. I usually lurk behind the scenes, so it's really nice to come and talk to you about the project. I'm delighted to share the journey and impact of our art journal project, which is a social prescribing initiative for adults that's transforming lives across Dumfries and Galloway. So this is just a graphic to show where it sits within our community strand. That's me. Right. So the Art Journal project emerged in 2020 as a creative response to the COVID pandemic. We've just completed our second year and we'll be going into our third year. We'll open up again in spring. So our mission is simple yet powerful: to provide a supportive, accessible, creative pathway for individuals facing various life challenges. Each participant receives a sketchbook and a carefully curated box of materials. In addition, our initial sessions are online via Zoom to remove barriers to engagement and ensure everyone can participate, regardless of their circumstances and where they are in D&G. Participants are evaluated at the beginning, midway and end of the project to track their well-being. At its heart, the project is about holistic well-being. We've created a safe, supportive space where creativity becomes a powerful tool for self-expression and healing. Research has shown that there are profound benefits of working with our hands, particularly activating the brain's effort-driven reward cycle. Our weekly Zoom sessions provide structure and routine. Art journals become visual diaries documenting personal growth. Simple, accessible, creative practices build confidence. Techniques like mindful doodling combat stress and support cognitive function. So that's just a picture of our art box that everybody gets at the beginning of the project. And that's the initial, our first sessions where we concentrate on just making marks and observing. We begin each cohort's journey with simple, accessible practices, from mindful doodling to continuous line flower drawing, building confidence through observation rather than perfectionism. Drawing inspiration from Dumfries and Galloway's landscape, we encourage participants to take daily walks where possible and notice and sketch 3 good things from nature. This practice has been clinically shown to significantly improve mental health by enhancing nature connectedness. And that's a page from one of the sketchbooks by Heather Bestel. What began as individual journeys has blossomed into a vibrant, supportive community. Participants who might never have met otherwise now share their artwork, support each other's creative development, and forge lasting friendships. Research underscores the vital importance of social connections for heart health and overall well-being. One of our greatest achievements has been the development of our graduate program and peer mentor scheme. Some of our participants from our 2020 pilot and 2023 cohort have stepped forward to become peer mentors, supporting new participants in workshops and assisting in workshops on our pilot care project and leading taster sessions for the Madewell satellite event for Upland. This organic growth exemplifies our sustainable community-led approach. Oh, I was doing so well. Wasn't I? You know? Yeah. Each week brings new techniques and artistic approaches through collaborations with guest artists. We explore a range of mediums and creative practices, including doodling, charcoal and ink, collage, printmaking, painting, and making natural art materials. But we're doing more than teaching art techniques. We're helping participants to develop creative habits that enrich their daily lives. Our empathic critique model in our private Facebook group teaches participants to offer constructive feedback to each other, acknowledging that everyone brings their best effort to their work. This reflection extends beyond individual practice. Participants learn to analyse and connect with challenging artworks by renowned artists, using a little bit of creative writing techniques to forge personal connections with more complex pieces of artwork. These skills deepen their artistic understanding and build critical thinking abilities that extend beyond the project. The transformation in confidence is remarkable. Towards the end of the project, we complete a creative compass exercise together. Participants identify their true north, their artistic aspirations and next steps on their creative journey. This self-reflection tool has proven powerful. Participants who initially doubted their creative abilities in the early sessions are now pursuing further studies. Some are sharing new skills within their own communities. Many continue with us as graduates or volunteer as peer mentors. And one of our peer mentors will return as a guest artist in our main programme this year. This project transforms lives in ways that extend far beyond our Zoom sessions. Through in-person workshops, participants demonstrate remarkable courage, walking into a classroom setting, often for the first time in years, to explore more complex artistic techniques like embossing clay, folded bookmaking, and creating art materials from natural pigments. These all-day sessions provide valuable opportunities for participants to connect face-to-face, deepening the friendships formed online. We also organise field trips to major cultural institutions, from National Galleries in Edinburgh to the Hunterian in Glasgow, where participants experience art firsthand and confidently articulate their impressions. For many, these represent profound personal victories. Walking into the classroom setting, stepping onto a bus with newfound friends, visiting city art galleries, each step a testament to growing confidence that seemed impossible before joining the project. A highlight of the project is our annual participation in the Scottish Mental Health Arts Festival, where we showcase participants' art journals in the outpatients corridor of DGRI. This exhibition represents another significant milestone in our participants' journeys. Seeing their work displayed publicly and inviting family and friends to view the exhibition builds tremendous pride and confidence. The location is particularly meaningful, allowing creative achievements to inspire others within the healthcare setting. Our graduate programme offers continued support and opportunities for growth. Graduates can explore creative enterprise, participating in printmaking workshops to produce cards and gifts for sale. The proceeds go to charity, allowing participants to give back to their community while building creative confidence and entrepreneurial skills. It offers a safe place for graduates to experience what being a professional artist might feel like. Beyond individual practice, our graduates also engage in meaningful public art projects, as Lucy mentioned just now. Currently, they're working with public artist Katie Anderson to enhance Focus Wellness and Recovery Hub in Lochside, so directly contributing to the well-being of our wider community. So, Looking ahead, we're committed to expanding our reach while maintaining the intimate, supportive atmosphere that makes this project special. A successful trial with participants facing severe health limitations has demonstrated our ability to adapt by using Zoom session recordings, creating custom demonstration videos, signposting virtual gallery tours and resources, or providing entirely self-directed email-based engagement for those who find social interaction challenging. We're learning to meet each person where they are. This flexible approach opens new possibilities for reaching individuals with chronic fatigue syndrome and other limiting conditions. By continuing to evolve and respond to our community's needs, we ensure that creative engagement remains accessible to all. Through creativity, we're building confidence, skills, and connections that ripple across our region, ensuring no one is left behind on their creative journey. The Art Journal project demonstrates the powerful impact of creative engagement on individual and community well-being. So please do have a look at our website for more details about the Art Journal and all our work. Though if you have any specific questions about Art Journal project, please do email me and referrals will soon be open. If you'd like to see some examples of the beautiful work produced by last year's cohort, photos of their Art Journal pages should be up on the screens in the foyer out there. And finally, to give you a flavour of our graduate programme, we've got a short film made by Kirsten McEwen. Is it not lined up? Sorry. No, that's Creative Toolbox. So we'll have to leave it for now.
Perhaps send a link to everybody in the evaluation.
There will be. It's a short film about our graduate programme. Yeah, and it's just a lovely way of showing you how it works in practice and seeing some printmaking workshops led by Helen Walsh and Julie Stephen, and where they produced a range of cards and they sold them and made £250, which was donated to a local charity. That's everything I have to say, so thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Liz. I think there were some reflections there that I'll just power through. It's okay. How did you make it look so easy? It's a blank slide. Is it possible to go on to the Creative Toolbox presentation, please? Yes. Thank you very much. I'm just going to welcome Georgia Ireland to talk about Creative Toolbox project.
Hello. So my name is Georgia Blue Ireland, and I am the youth lead at OutPost Arts. So my background is in performing and writing, and I've worked in the past with multiple different community groups, such as adults going through recovery, people in community service, people experiencing homelessness, as well as multiple youth groups, such as my post within OutPost Arts. I really try to encourage and empower people to bring creativity into their lives, as I truly believe and see the benefits it has when we really take the time to be curious and to tap into it. So I grew up attending regular drama classes. I was a very shy and a very anxious young girl who never really fit in anywhere. I loved reading as a child. Every night I would stay up late with my book torch, becoming engrossed in fantastical worlds, Harry Potter, or rowdy council estates, anything Jacqueline Wilson. Whatever I read, I became part of that story. The characters became my friends. But when I was first introduced to reading plays, my first being Our Day Out by Willie Russell, and I could actually become the characters and live a different life, even just for a short while, it opened up a whole new world to me. After that first play, I was hooked. to all the wild possibilities storytelling could take me. It turned out I was pretty good, and for the first time I felt seen. This shy young girl who struggled to talk and just be as me had found something that allowed others to see me, and it made me feel good. But it was really just a way for me to express myself in a way that I didn't know that I could before. Fitting in seems one of the most important things in the world as a young person. And there are plenty of young people and adults who really like to tell you and everyone else about it if you do anything remotely different. My mum always said it was good to be different from the crowd, but when hormones are raging and everything and anything seems utterly embarrassing, it's hard to really appreciate that at the time. So I say all this because, as the youth lead, it's important for me to remember what it's like to be their age. The young people that come to Creative Toolbox in one way or another have experienced being othered, just like I was. And this shared understanding and empathy allows me to really work with them on their individual experiences. Creativity is the reason we come together, but it is not the focus. My main goal at each session is to create a space for each individual to feel seen as the person that they are, for them to be who they want to be at that moment in time. Creativity is the vehicle for them to be and express themselves in whichever way feels comfortable to them. So we explore storytelling through different art forms: creative writing, drama, sound design, illustration, textiles, and photography. This gives our participants an option to try out something new, but to also look at art and creativity through a different lens. There is a plethora of ways to be creative, and we offer a snapshot for people to find what feels right to them to start their own creative practice. Some may have experience, and some may not. But each session is tailored to make it accessible for all levels. Anyone should feel comfortable to take part, and everyone is also given the option to sit out if something's not for them. And I encourage them to use their voice in this instances, because I do really feel it's extremely important to try new things, but to also know when something isn't for them without any shame attached to it. While each workshop is planned with the artist, we keep things flexible so that participants are able to alter activities to suit them. I gauge the feeling of the group on the day, and if something isn't quite clicking, we adapt it to make sure that their needs are being met. This could be as simple as giving them space to have a conversation with a peer, or having a one-on-one chat with myself. Many of our participants have faced social isolation for a variety of reasons, and this group becomes their community. Our peer mentors encourage and support new participants, and this creates a welcoming and empowering space for everyone to build each other up and look after one another. We encourage everyone to really see each other, which in turn allows people to just be. So it's typical for a child to stop playing around 10 to 12 years old. Interest shifts, hormones change, school changes, and we stop using our imaginations as much. We become more serious without even knowing it's happening. So carving out moments of play throughout our workshops not only broadens our imagination and creativity, but it also helps develop problem-solving skills and critical thinking skills in a fun and relaxed way. Giving ourselves time to play is a gift when life becomes busy with responsibilities and chores, but ensuring young people can have this to create a practice for later on in life creates a healthy habit and lets us be present in the moment, to laugh, and to give ourselves time to express and reflect. I'm a bit of a goofball, and I openly show that to our participants. I always think it's really important to laugh at ourselves in a healthy way and to be silly and to be free. And I've seen that by doing that allows everyone else in the room to do the same as well. Art is such a subjective topic. There is no right and wrong, and it shouldn't be taken so seriously that it festers the spark to try something new. Yet we are still led to believe that we must be good at something in order for us to pursue it. But how can we grow if we do not first try, fail, and try again? Except making a mistake is not failing. It is just doing something a different way. And in our space, we encourage mistakes because that could always lead to a new nugget or a new idea, or just to confirm that something is not quite working, which then cements what we do know. Time is a huge barrier for creativity, yet it is only ourselves as individuals that can give time to ourselves. For young people, it is slightly different, as some may rely on others' time, their parents, just to be able to attend. So it's really important for me to build these relationships with parents and carers to help advocate for their child's creativity and highlight the impact it has on their well-being and social inclusion by recognizing their improvements in workshops, but also in their home life. We alleviate finance barriers by ensuring all trips and workshops are free for participants, as well as providing transport for those who need it. We do not ask questions about money. Instead, it is just a given, to help alleviate any shame that may be felt to divulge information on that matter. Basically, we just want to make it as easy and as simple as possible for anyone to access our services at OutPost Arts. But all they need to do is just show up. I'd like to talk quickly about our latest mini project, working in collaboration with the Stove on their Creative Collav Sight and Sound project. This occurred during our graduate program, and over 7 sessions, participants visited Collav Castle to forage for sounds, a really mindful and relaxing activity. They took part in creative writing workshops led by author Karen Campbell and poets Katie Isles and Kevin McLean from I Am Loud, focusing on the themes of the spirit, the storm, the supper, and the siege. They then worked with sound artist Callum Walker and his crew at Sonic Labs to record their poems, to improvise music inspired by the atmosphere their words fueled. It was a really incredible achievement for the participants who took part, as some are very anxious to share their own words, let alone record them. I'm really incredibly proud of what they have produced, and would now like to introduce you to a short film that showcases their poems and time at Collav Castle.
Echoes, echoes surround me. Birds singing, gliding along with the wind. The wind stroked my castle walls like a gentle melody. Water in my moat trickling up and down like a dancing flow of harmony. As people tread through my halls, the sound of pitter-patter echoes. They tread lightly as a sign of respect, the feeling of contentment flowing through me as a cleansing shower.
The storm, a god of the sea, the weather, the land, and what inhabits it. Never a child, though the act is one. Crafted by the hands of the highest lord, and they use that fact in their favour, with an often how to live. They can send down entire cities with a click of their fingers, sending the wind up with the ocean, when the little humans upset them or go against their will. Despite their childish acts, they hold more power than all the strongest men, all the fighters, all the most resilient of humans, in their pinky finger. They are among the most corrupt.
Power, fire and lightning. Age, 26,000 years old. Job, disrupting life. Nemesis, authors. Friends, none. Name, Stormkind. Stormkind blasted the ground again and again and again. Burned everything within a 10-mile radius as revenge for the death of his wife, Aileen. After he was done, he went back to his fleet of 20 pirates and set sail for the horizon.
I desire to break free. I desire to be freed from constant fear of life and change. I no longer wish to hear people going on about their lives. I no longer wish to taste the rainfall in my own moat. I wish to no longer smell meat. I no longer wish to feel the terror of arrows in my walls. I wish to no longer see the same patch of grass. I want to see Frank Sinatra. I pray for life to change and to feel strong again. I have seen lives come and go, change and evolve. I have heard the sound of heartbreak and sorrow. I have tasted the dampness in the air change as the years go on. I have smelt the decay of death. I have felt the decay of my walls as I experience the years of my existence increase, forever still, always changing. I hate how even though I have stood tall, even after all these years, that everything I once knew has decayed and rotted. I love how even though I have changed, people still appreciate my beauty. I want to still feel loved, even though I've changed.
So that was just a little snapshot into some of the amazing creative work that everyone gets up to at Creative Toolbox. If we could just go to the next slide. So this is just a reflection from one of our participants, which I think just really encapsulates everything that I was talking about. So I'll just read it out because it's quite small. For me, I never really did anything within a community setting due to my social anxiety. Speaking to new people is quite scary. But this has pushed me out of my comfort zone and allowed me to speak with cool and interesting people that I would never had the chance to meet without being part of this project. It gave me the chance to meet new, like-minded people and allowed me to learn more skills which will help me in the future. I feel like I have grown in confidence and more doors have opened for me by getting involved. Thank you very much. And I will now pass you over to Phoebe Watt.
Look, I'm hiding behind this. Hi everyone, my name is Phoebe Watt. My name is Phoebe, and I'm the Programmes Officer and the Care Project Lead. I don't know where to point it. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And again. George is rescuing me, I think. That's me. So yes, I'm going to be talking about the CARE project, which was a pilot initiative that ran from August to December last year. So at its core, the project aimed... Oh, I'm going to have to say... Next slide, please. So at its core, the project aimed to reconnect care home residents and staff with their creative selves to improve well-being and strengthen relationships between residents and staff. We already know from numerous studies that creativity has a profound impact on well-being, particularly for people with dementia, improving mood and reducing agitation. Yet despite this strong evidence, we haven't seen enough action taken in Scotland. So that's why we want to be a part of this drive and change, ensuring that creativity... Can we not hear me? Ensuring that creativity isn't just acknowledged as beneficial, but is actively embedded into care practices. So with funding from Scottish Care, we worked with 3 care homes across Dumfries and Galloway. Our partners included Julie Stephen from Artful Corner, Paragon Music, Lucy Lee from Old Mill Arts, who all helped to deliver creative engagement and pilot activities in each site. Thinking of the next slide. Next slide, please. So the top left photo here with the sort of the leaves is from one of the creative engagement sessions led by Julie Stephen. So this was where we gathered insights from residents and staff about what brings them joy and their personal interests. Music and painting emerged as really strong themes. So we partnered with Paragon Music to host interactive musical jam sessions, and we brought in Lucy Lee for nature-inspired mark-making activities. Even with just 2 pilot activities in each home, the impact was clear and immediate. The sessions fostered a strong sense of community. Residents valued the opportunity to reconnect with familiar faces, meet new people, and feel part of a shared experience, helping to combat any feelings of isolation. Residents also felt challenged and encouraged to try something new, boosting confidence and inspiring some of them as well to revisit past hobbies and interests. The creative activities... we're still on... Can we go back a slide, please? That's it, thank you. These sparked reflections on past experiences as well, on like personal history, previous interests, and I think this really helped some residents to reinforce a sense of identity. These activities prompted residents to reminisce, reminding what brings them joy, what makes them feel connected to people and themselves, and who they are beyond just being residents in a care home at this stage in their life. And finally, overall, residents just expressed that these activities brought feelings of happiness, relaxation, and a sense of playfulness that stuck with them for the rest of the day. So move on to the next slide, please. So this project was as much about staff wellbeing as it was about resident wellbeing. Evaluating staff wellbeing was a bit more challenging, as we all know, in care settings and healthcare, the staff were very overstretched, and it was difficult for them to fully participate as much as the residents were able to. So engagement levels varied, but for those who did take part, the benefits were very clear. For example, creativity provided new opportunities for conversation and personal connection with residents. It helped them to relate to the people they care for on a more personal level. They saw residents in a new light, engaging with them beyond routine tasks on that more sort of equal kind of level. And I think just generally the overall atmosphere shifted in the space. Like, there was just so much like laughter and playfulness and silliness during these sessions, especially the music ones with Paragon. And I think one of the biggest things that came through from staff reflections was that when they could see the residents were happy, they felt happy. You know, so it really the residents' happiness impacted the staff. So I'll go on to the next slide, please. So these are some of the reflections. So I think that last one kind of illustrates my last point. You know, residents were smiling, which always has a positive effect, and that was me asking a staff member how the activity made them feel, and they went straight to the fact that they just loved that the residents were smiling. And the next slide, please. We've got some resident reflections here. I'll read the last one out. So The joining in and socialising, it de-stressed me and relaxed me. I have loved it today mixing with others. Something like this activity helps me as I can feel isolated when on my own. I have Parkinson's and that can feel like an isolating disease. So this participant, we had been told she hadn't left her room for weeks. She just hadn't been interested in joining in with anything. She had obviously just been feeling very low for the last few weeks, and something about Lucy's session had piqued her interest and she decided to come along and join in. She fully immersed herself in the activity. She was chatting to us about her life, her children, her interests, and she really expressed how much she valued her conversations with us. And remarkably, yeah, she even noticed a reduction in her Parkinson's-related tremors while she was painting, and whether that was an effect of the painting itself or just being around others and chatting, either way, it was clearly a very meaningful moment for this person. So how do we achieve this impact? How do we make these activities meaningful? So first we try to take a person-centred approach. So we came up with something called the Tree of Life activity, inspired by something that is done in care settings, I believe in Denmark. So we had staff and residents work together to create a big tree that represented their personal identities, which, going back, that was those like leaves that we saw in that photo. They had been writing down things that meant, things like interests and experiences, just things that bring them joy. And by listening to them, we were able to create meaningful activities that resonated on a personal level. We also focused on inclusive planning, so every activity was designed with diverse needs in mind, considering mobility challenges, dementia, Parkinson's, any visual or hearing impairments, and this ensured that everyone, regardless of ability, had the opportunity to engage and participate in a way that felt comfortable for them. And an example of this was that Lucy Lee had handmade art tools that were designed specifically with arthritis in mind. So in the engagement sessions, we brought in regular crayons, and we found that residents were struggling to really grip them and get sort of like pigment from them. So Lucy used soap molds to create these really nice, very easy to hold crayons, and I think that worked really well. And finally, adaptability was very key. So rather than like sticking to a rigid structure, like a workshop structure, we kept our approach very flexible and responsive to what people were engaging with in the moment. And we adapted sessions based on energy levels and needs of the group, ensuring that engagement felt natural rather than forced throughout. And we definitely took a lot of learning for that we'll take forward if we are able to continue this project. I think next slide, please. The key takeaways are that creativity helps care home residents reclaim their identity and their voice. That opportunity to break routine, that sort of carer-resident routine, strengthens relationships and fosters more personal and meaningful interactions. And when the residents feel good, the staff feel good. So this positive atmosphere benefits everyone involved in the care setting. Next slide, please. So looking forward, we are now compiling a care project report which will outline key learnings and recommendations for the future. This will serve as a roadmap for how we can build on the successes of this pilot. So one of our key goals is expanding the project. We've seen the positive impact, and now we're seeking funding to continue and scale up, hopefully reaching more care homes across the region. And most importantly, we want to focus on sustainability, so embedding creative initiatives long term so that they become a lasting part of care home culture rather than just a one-off experience. I think this project really demonstrated that creativity in care homes isn't just nice to have, it's essential for the well-being of staff and residents. So fingers crossed it's not just like another case of pilotitis, and we do actually, yeah. But that's everything I've got to say about the project. Sorry if you couldn't hear me at the start, I don't know what was going on. But yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I hope the speakers have given you a sense of what DG Creative Wellbeing's community programme does and what it looks like and how it feels. Just to round things out before we have a performance and then lunch, I'm sure, as my granny would say, you could all eat a scabby dog at this point. I'm going to pass you on to Alison Hotchkiss, who is our project counsellor, and she's going to talk about how she works with our team. Welcome, Alison. Thank you. So little, but so powerfully. Oh gosh, here I go. Right. Hello, I'm Alison, and I'm a person-centred counsellor based in Langham. And this is a wee bit about me. I'm an experienced person-centred counsellor. That means that I don't sit as an expert with a worksheet to hand out to my clients. I sit and listen to them and try and guess what it could be like to make the decisions that they've made to find themselves where they are right now. I'm a supervisor, but more of that later. What that doesn't mean is that I walk about with a clipboard, making sure that pencils are sharpened, boxes are ticked, and your tie's straight. I use various settings to connect with my clients, and you'll hopefully find a lot of crossovers between the words and the language that counsellors will use and that what I've heard today from the artists and the creators that I've listened to. So we walk alongside, that's very much how I see my job as a counsellor. I meet my clients where they are and get to know their real lives. So if, for whatever reason, my client doesn't want to work inside with me, then I have outdoor spaces that I use to do walk and talk. I also can do relaxation with them, get them framed and grounded into the room. I use a lot of imagery when I speak with my clients, whether it's actually using photographs or Lego or plasticine or clay or crayon or wool. Everybody will know that it's visited my room, that the brain that I use for psychoeducation is just a bunch of blue wool. And sometimes it gets squashed, and sometimes it can just be loose. I have a playroom. I'm also work 1 day a week with the local school. I have done for 8 years, and I'm qualified in working for children and young people too. So I have a playroom that people can do there, and people can come to. And it's not just the kids that want to come to there, because I think, as has been said in here, we lose fun and we lose play. And also there's Hudson. Hudson is an assistance dog, he's a therapy dog, and he works with me on request if the person is suitable, if the client is suitable and requests it. But also he does large group settings within schools. At Christmas, he gave out candy canes to the whole lot of them. So that's what we do. Right, we're going for this? Or will I just say, oh, thank you. Somebody's listening. That's wonderful. We've seen the research. We know the research. But do we know how far back we've actually always played? We've always created. Even before common language, we have put our mark down as a way of expressing to others either what we saw or what we want them to know. Next slide, please. The connections simply went from brain to brain. We saw the image was viewed, it was understood, there was no additional processing. We didn't need common language or all the complicated settings that we get ourselves into now. Next, please. But then with common language came storytelling around the fire, and that's my lot. We were just after having it was, I think it was about midwinter, and we're in Ullswater, and we just got out and we're having something round the fire. to share, to break bread, to tell stories, to boast about how cold it really was and we didn't feel it. Next, please. Humans are formed bonds to create, and I think that's what every part of us is interwoven today into the story. That social group support, the sense of belonging and contact. And it's this shared sense, the sense of something that we did together. The events, the emotions, how we actually all have experienced it. If we fast forward to life as it is now, where actually visual ways of communicating have lessened. Even now, we text people. We don't send them pictures or images. It just seems to be written word. And the written word can sometimes be interpreted by the mood of the person, especially if I think about texts or emails. It's interpreted by the mood of the reader, not by the mood of the person who sent it. So sometimes we just that lot of miscommunication. Next slide, please. And again, this is where we have enough evidence right now, both from how my friends up here hold the people within the groups that they form and lead. We can get complicated, and lots of people choose not to engage, not to fight the barriers that are up against them. For me, it's about being absorbed in the act of making. And this is why creativity can help increase your sense of self, your sense of balance and well-being. If we're absorbed in the art of creating, whatever way we're choosing to do it, whether it's a knitter, a crocheter, a bookbinder, all of these different ways, it means that we are keeping our feelings squashed, the anxious feelings. And what we're actually doing then is distancing ourselves from them and rebalancing in such a way that we can allow ourselves to look at different, from a different place rather than from that anxious crisis point almost. It calms us, it silences our busy mind, and again, that sense of well-being and contentment and just that general at peace. It's that at peace that stops the brain from buzzing. And we feel better equipped to go back and look over things that were maybe stressing us half an hour ago because we've been absorbed in the art of making. Because while mindfulness and meditation is really a worthwhile practice, the anxious brain takes a long time to go from there to there. And the creativity, the movement of the body can assist in getting everything back down into a level that's manageable. Next slide, please. Okay, what do I do? I am there. I've been here happily to be involved in OutPost Arts and the works that they do in the community from the very beginning. I was at the steering group. So the part of creating the space for people who might come our way from referrals was very much a part of paving a way of maybe what was the leaders might come across. But also involved in that was because creativity can link almost like your brain and your heart without any space. It can take clients who have trauma or
and were feeling in vulnerable places, it can take them to access the feelings deeper than what normal talking therapy or normal interaction can do. So I was always keen that there was a space for any participant in the groups, that there would be access to emotional support when they needed it, rather than trying to feel as though they were dealing with those feelings on their own. So for me, it was always important that whatever comes up for individual clients and individual participants in the group, then there was a way there of supporting them and allowing them to re-regulate themselves and then offer support. So there was a space there, and yes, it's been used. Group members have come to me, but what I found is that they maybe need me for the first couple, and then the magic happens that the people on the stage produce are allowed to happen. The magic of being in that social group for support, that's what works. So we've maybe had a person who feels overwhelmed and visits me for a couple of sessions, all at the same time they're doing alongside the Art Journal project, and they don't need me. They don't need that support because they've built up that self-confidence within them to keep on going themselves. So that's, for me, that's proof that the magic of creativity, of making, actually allows people to look after themselves. Like a lot of people in here, I'm not part of the medical model. I don't see individuals as needing fixed or broken. I see people as having made really interesting choices in bad situations that they find themselves in, simply to be the best version of themselves that they can be. And again, it's the society that disables and puts barriers in people's way. We take time. The leader is key in how all these settings, all of our leaders and how they build that space. And if you are a group leader yourself, you'll know, just as Paragon was saying, that the time that it takes to build that group, to know the individualities. So for the group leaders making the space, then the vulnerabilities can be raw, and that again is when clients can come and see me, they regulate, and they continue with the project. But for the leaders, that can be completely energy zapping and boundary bending. Next slide, please. Oh, there you go. Who wrote that? It was me. So these are all the things that I've done. We did a welcome session. I was more involved this year. I've been at the welcome session. And it was a day of visualising all the things that people can do to control their breathing and to just have fun and play. There was a lot of work put into fostering inclusivity, respect, and building bonds. And as we've seen from the videos and the pictures, the bonds go from individuals to groups, to people online that actually go and see each other outside of it. I attend workshops, and I build relationships with participants and provide counselling support if need be. Next slide. Right. Okay. What sets us aside from a lot of other groups that I know is how we support our group leaders. Our projects are artist-led. They're not got counselling qualifications or medical qualifications or experience in how to provide a safe space for vulnerable people of the community and also themselves working in that area. And if anyone is a healer of any sort, you know that it can be draining and exhausting. I supervise the leaders in a way that I would supervise counsellors, teachers, youth workers, social workers. In Scotland, I've found, and I speak of Scotland, it probably happens everywhere, but Scotland's all I know. There's lots of places where we will encourage people to listen. So hairdressers might be looking for domestic abuse, and so might dentists be. And teachers are put in situations with families that they've not really covered in being at the teacher training programme. It's not a place for people who don't have support as to what to do with what they hear. I'm not looking again for the tie being straight. I'm looking for how impacting their work is on them, on their lives and on their well-being. Next slide, please. So what does it look like on the ground? I provide monthly group supervision and individual check-ins for the group leaders. I promote open and honestly that they can talk to each other and speak of what's left with them from the workshops. I encourage time for promoting self-care and self-reflection. I facilitate in-person times for us. This is a rare thing. We're a wide bunch of people trying to communicate the best we can online. The aim of those in-person times is to provide the vital personal connections needed with a primarily remote working team. It's a space to play, a space to be seen, to be heard, and be supported. And it's actually an experience to provide what they are providing to our participants. Next slide, please. As far as supporting the supporters, I'm passionate that we model to our participants the healthy boundaries in our life, that we are mindful of taking time for our own creative needs, and that we are growing the connections within each group so that every interaction will leave, whether it's one of the team, one of the group's members, they will leave them feeling as though they've been, I suppose, touched by magic, actually. Because we forgot, our society puts a lot of barriers on us just being able to communicate person to person, human to human, to see the flaws and not judge. And that really is where my passion lies, and that there are people who are trained to listen and know what to do, who have done work with themselves and are covered by support. And there are thousands of listeners out there who are impacted by what they hear. And my passion is to make sure that they have a space to be heard and supported, to allow them to bring joy to all the people's lives that they touch.